How's it going, everybody? I'm Jared Poirier. Thank you so much for tuning into the Galaxy Design channel. And today we have a very special show for you guys with a very special guest, a good friend of mine and an entrepreneur that I am very inspired by every time I see what she's up to. Lindsay Johnson is here.
Hey, everyone.
And Lindsay, it's great to have you here. Been a long time since we had a chance to make any content together, and I really loved having you on the channel the last time that we were able to get together and do this, which was actually in person, which is pretty cool. But in this new remote world that we're all living in, we can make some cool remote content too. So I think we have a great video planned for you guys today.
Oh my gosh, before we get into that, if anybody here hasn't gone and watched the video Jared and I did, please do, because it was created at great pain. So we talked about networking, and do you remember how bloody hot it was? And you and I were both like sweating through our clothes to record this. It's a great video. It took a lot of sacrifice. Go watch it. Go watch it.
Yeah, go watch it if you want to see a couple people being sweaty.
Yeah, so today I'm super psyched to come in and chat with you and for folks listening. Thank you so much for bringing me back. We're going to be diving into how we I guess show up online virtually, whether it's through meetings or presentations or even just like sales calls, how we are presenting ourselves with authority when it's a little bit more challenging because we could be miles away and on a camera. So we're going to be talking about that today.
Yeah, certainly. And I think that that's a really great topic, very timely. And I think one that will be really great to have you on for. I'm always really watching the content that you're putting out and really paying attention to the messages that you're delivering. And one thing that I always really admire about you is the way that you present yourself to the public, the way that you're really aware of keeping your image consistent and having a really professional approach, but also, you know, one where people feel comfortable and where, just that you're a very likable person, but also very professional on camera and in person and in all aspects of business. So I thought there'd be no better person to give us some tips now that the whole landscape has sort of changed in terms of how people are meeting and how business
I love
is
that.
getting done.
And I, first of all, I mean, thank you. But yeah, thanks. But also my brain immediately wants to go into the practical things of what you just said, which is that, that idea of being likable and friendly and warm and still professional. And that is it's not even that fine of a line. It's a pretty thick line, actually, that we can walk along. But there is that awareness of there's being, you can be goofy and you can be silly and you can be fun, but that doesn't mean you're not professional, right? You can be warm and loving and nurturing and still professional. And so I can't wait to dive into some of the specifics on how to achieve that today with you.
Certainly. So speaking of being professional, in a very professional manner, I went ahead and prepared a few questions here just to structure our conversation a little bit. So we'll get into some of those. Not that it's going to be very structured. We're mostly just going to be having fun, catching up, and sharing a little bit of advice here. So the first question that I wanted to get into, and I'm sure that this is something that is burning in the minds of some of the viewers out there, and maybe just to help people feel a little bit more comfortable when they have to go into like a Zoom meeting or something like that. It's not everybody's favorite thing. So what are some of the biggest differences that you'll find when you're doing more remote meetings compared to like in-person meetings?
Oh, okay. There's a million ways I can approach this. I want to start by saying, there's the big difference, I think, between remote and in person. And this is where I think people feel most challenged, is that it can be harder to have a sort of personal impact. When you're in person, you can make direct eye contact. You can point at someone or pull them into a conversation or into a point you're making from stage. There's more of a personal feel. And so when you go remote, you have to be able to manufacture that when you can't do it obviously as easily in person. Now, this is why, especially with Zoom, I'm so thankful that everyone's names are right there. So that really helps. If you are watching and you don't have your name on your Zoom, it's some pseudonym or initial or your company name, go and change it to your first name, because right away it's gonna first and last. It's gonna allow folks to actually connect with you, and then it's gonna also set the stage for other people to go, oh, I should put my name on here, and you can connect with them. The other thing that we're gonna see the difference of with the virtual versus online is the level of casualness. I remember early on doing a workshop. It was a paid workshop, and I showed up to this thing virtually, and I was the only one in a blazer. Everybody was in hoodies and t-shirts. Even the host was in a hoodie, and it was like, oh, and this was early. This was, I think, like April. Like, it was early on into to this virtual social distancing world, and it was this awareness of, okay, all right, like, we can like really casual it down. And so there is this piece there that, in some situations, showing up with a 3-piece suit does look a little strange when you're sitting, in your living room or with your kitchen behind you. And so just kind of thinking about, there is that ability to kind of dress down a little bit. But again, like we said, likability versus professional, have your freshest t-shirt on, make sure it's ironed. No stains or rips or wrinkles. We still want to look good, but you don't have to be as formal as you did when you'd be speaking live. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. So that's a couple of things that if someone is a little bit apprehensive or a little bit afraid of going into a remote meeting setting, something that they don't have to worry so much about remembering people's names. That's a good one, take that one off the list of things that are stressing you out. You don't have to worry so much about that if people do have those names on there. And yeah, that's a good tip for people as well, to be putting your names. And as you said, you don't have to be quite as formal as you would in like a traditional business setting. And that actually segues really nicely into our next question that I want to ask you, and the next thing that I want to talk about a little bit here, and that is on the question of wardrobe. Lindsay, what do you think? Should we be dressing up a lot for our remote meetings, and how much is too much? Is a 3-piece suit really taking it way too far, type of thing?
Well, that's it, because it's almost like the 3-piece suit in a virtual meeting is like wearing a tuxedo to a networking event. Like, it's a little too much,
Yeah.
But
People
I
are gonna
will
think
say
you're
that,
weird,
right? Or really cool. I don't know. It depends on the group.
Maybe.
But yeah, you do want to, again, consider your audience. When in doubt, check with the host if you're a guest somewhere, or watch past recordings. But again, it's like know your audience is the biggest question. So I'm a blazer gal. I love wearing blazers. I don't know that I'll pull them out this season, right? I don't know, because it's just not getting done. I've been looking at hoodies at Old Navy. I can rotate hoodies because not only is that my audience, my audience is more chill. They're entrepreneurs. They're not, in a corporate setting or a super business-like setting. So I can get away with that. But if your setting is more corporate and there is an expectation that you have a suit, then you're probably going to need to wear a suit. Maybe you have the button undone. You don't wear a tie. I don't know. You really have to go and see, it's no different than any other kind of, company culture or team culture. What's everyone else doing? When in doubt, ask the host. But I will say to you that if you don't have an audience that is expecting you to dress up, embrace it. Embrace the casualness. Embrace feeling comfortable in your home, and behind the mic, behind the camera. We see so many people like not even doing their hair, or women not doing their makeup, or it's just to me, it's like, embrace it. I feel like the world right now has just stripped away so much pomp, like so much, fronting. And so just embrace showing up and being who you are and being in the moment. But when in doubt, check with the host. Make sure you're still a professional.
Yeah, I think that's really a great tip, and like you're saying, it's not like you're walking a fine line necessarily. It's a bit of a broad spectrum, I guess, in terms of like what might be appropriate, and again, depending on who your audience is and who you're meeting with. and stuff like that. But it's just all about that balance of not too formal and not too informal as well. Like if you are just getting right out of bed and hopping right on the call without even changing your top, or you're still wearing your pajamas.
You want to say underwear,
okay.
don't you, without changing your underwear?
Without having a shower or doing your hair or whatever.
Do you know what? And yeah, I want to say too, I recommend that you get out of bed and you have a shower and you dress for the day. Like I will say that's just that's just good mental health practice right now.
Certainly, yeah.
Things are more stressful than they've ever been globally, and we need to do everything we can to help with our own mental health. So shower, put on fresh clothes. Listen, I live in yoga pants now. I never not have yoga pants on. I don't know that I'm going to go back. I saw a picture of someone the other day. It was their Instagram. They were showing Instagram pictures, and they're like a big deal. And they had their blazer and shirt, and then their checkered flannel pajama bottoms on. Because it's like, be comfortable, but shower because it's good, not for vanity, because it's good for your mental health.
For sure. And I think especially now, like when things are a little bit weird and people's schedules are a little bit messed up compared to how they used to be, having some sense of a schedule and like a ritual and some normalcy and stuff like that, I think is still really good. So your morning ritual of getting up, hopping in the shower, doing your hair, getting a coffee and all that, I think is still really good. So we'll get into the next bit here, and really ties into what we've been talking about this entire time, I guess, like your public image and how you're being perceived in these remote meetings and things like that. And I'm just wondering how, because this is something that I think that you're so good at, again, having like that image of being like professional yet approachable and fun and likable and stuff like that, and really keeping that consistent, whether people are watching your YouTube content or looking at one of your courses or meeting you in person. So when we're talking about that consistency, how are we able to or like what are some tips that you have for people to be able to keep that image consistent even when you're inviting your audience into your private space, into your home, into sometimes your bedroom, whatever it is?
So that is a really important point, and something that I think a lot of people get and some people totally miss. And that is that your home or your background is now an extension of your brand. It's like an extension of your outfit, right? So I might be like business on top, yoga pants on the bottom, but behind me is an extension. You're all getting to see that. And so you want to think about, there's this level of intimacy that is created by getting to see inside people's homes. I mean, we're seeing inside the homes of stars and reporters and politicians. We're seeing inside the sacred living spaces of people. And so there's an intimacy and connection there, but there's also a bit of a level of creepiness. Am I right? Like, it's kind of sometimes creepy, right? And so for your home, you want to think about, first and foremost, what do I want people to see and what do I not want them to see? So please make sure you don't have anything with like your address or important information, tacked to the fridge behind you somewhere.
your passwords, yeah.
Right? Yeah. Here's my social insurance number and all my passwords for my bank account. Yes. Things like you might have pictures of like family or kids that you don't want out there, right? So really thinking about, from a privacy perspective, what you don't want shown, because this is the internet. It's everywhere. Goes everywhere, right? And then from a branding perspective, you want to think about, whenever we talk branding, it's always like, how do I want people to feel? What do I want people to know? What is the tone and the feel of my brand? And then based on that, what do I want my background to look like? So for example, if you look at my background, right? Like I've got like plants and I've got bright art and I got like a lot of white space, and that sort of continues on if you go to my website with like lots of color and lots of white space. That's a part of me. I am extending my brand in my background, but also I'm thinking about, how do I want people to feel when they see me on camera? I want this kind of homey feel, this really engaging, maybe not exciting, but like visually stimulating kind of feel. So that's what I'm creating in my background. So you got to think about that from that branding perspective. How do you want people to feel? What do you want them to know? And how are you recreating that? Now, in some situations, it might be you just want to be against a white wall. Or maybe you're going to have a shelf with your awards behind you, right? Or maybe it's important to have greenery outside, and you got a window that doesn't have too much sun behind you with like greenery. You know, really thinking about how what you want to put out there to the world and how that extension of your brand is showcased. So that's kind of the two ways I would look at it: extension of your brand and privacy.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it also takes us a little bit beyond what we were talking about before, was more about like, how are you looking? You know, do you have a nice shave, nice hair, and nice makeup? And taking it to the next level, really thinking about like, what is your surroundings and what is that really saying about you? I think a lot of people might kind of overlook that. Maybe people might like master the whole idea of like making themselves look good on camera and then kind of sabotage themselves by having, you know, just a mess of stuff behind them. So it's a very good point. Just being aware of I guess it's kind of like a set that you're building in a way, right? If you really think about it. Yeah, be aware of how you're doing that and what it says about you, and exactly that point of like what people are feeling when they walk away. I think that's a really important point. Okay, so getting into our next question here. This is another one that I think will be really great for you. There's really no other person who I think could answer this one better, actually. I think that one thing that you really bring to the table is an excitement and a lot of energy when you're doing anything in your business. And I think that quite a few people, even myself included sometimes, struggle with this when we're going into like a remote meeting and that type of remote setting. It might be a little bit easier to be excited and engaged when you're meeting people in person, and then all of a sudden when you get online, like you're kind of in your own space and maybe, you know, you're being a little bit too quiet, too natural, and you need to get out of your shell a little bit. So what are a few things that we can do to address that, to get more energetic, more excited when we're on camera?
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so first of all, I'm a big fan of the solo dance party. Like before you go on camera, put on one of your favorite songs and dance it out. Get your energy up. That really does help, especially if you're about to like go into, let's say, recording some pre-recorded courses or content or something. Right? Get your energy up, have a dance party, everyone. Number 2 is throw a mirror behind your camera. Throw a mirror behind your computer. That makes a big difference because you will see yourself smiling or see yourself frowning or see yourself slouching. Nice. You know, right? Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Or if you have a fancy camera like me, you can flip the screen around if you're so lucky. But
there you go. I'm not that fancy. So having a mirror really does make a big difference. This is like an old like customer service trick, or like a if you do like cold calling trick, is have a mirror, because when you can see yourself, you'll want to look good to yourself, right? And so that's a big thing. It really does take practice. So noticing your tone of voice. Whenever I go into recording a YouTube video or a module for one of my programs, and it's really technical, I can really quickly get monotone and start talking like this and then start talking like this. You know what I mean? Like I lose the song in my tone. And so, you have to really practice both being able to do the thing, but be aware of your tone of voice and think about how you can keep it lively and keep it engaging. Hand gestures work.
Yeah,
use hand gestures, watch your tone, and remember that you want to be conversational. It's not about you like delivering this information in the most, efficient way possible. It's about connecting with people. So the biggest thing is like looking in the camera when you talk. People feel like you're looking at them. And so then even though you can't see anyone, they can see you, right? And so then when you're talking and presenting and doing things, just if you're looking in that camera, you're smiling, you're being expressive, and you're practicing these things, it does become second nature.
Yeah, and maybe even like addressing some people by name and keeping them engaged that way is another thing that might work as well, right?
100%. Yeah, you want to, and this is why we talked about having the names on Zoom and things like that.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that one of the things that we can do is especially if we're nervous at all, is we start talking really fast and getting really high pitched, right? The stress makes our vocal cords tight, So I recommend, dropping it an octave, talking a little slower, taking your time, letting points land. All these same tricks or tips, I guess, that would work for any public speaking also apply here. And it's just connecting to yourself, connecting to your audience, looking at that microphone and just like truly, and I know people say this all the time, but truly be yourself. If you're expressive, like be that person, be who you are, be casual. The more that you drop any like formality and seriousness and like throw it a funny face or a funny voice or a hey, like people will love that. It's endearing, it's humanizing. So don't feel like you have to be a robot and super professional. Be you and have fun.
And if your dog does come and hop in your lap, just embrace that. I mean, people are probably happy to see your dog. So
I've never had someone have a dog or a cat go on the screen that I've not let a little squeal. Like, honestly, like kids coming in, yeah, like, a loud truck driving by, I get that all the time, or like motorbikes. This is one of the things with being virtual is that these distractions are going to happen and it's literally happening to everybody. Nobody's freaking out about it.
Exactly, yeah. And I've really noticed that the kind of norms and stuff in meetings have really switched to where, people aren't judging you really harshly if something like that happens. It's just an accepted part of life. People are working from home and it's gonna be happening, right? So
yeah.
Sweet. All right. So we were talking a little bit earlier about some of the things that you can do to prepare to be on camera, some of the rituals that you can do right before you hop on a meeting. And I want to get into a little bit more of the details there, a little bit more of the nitty gritty. So are there some, other than having a one-man dance party or a one lady dance party or whatever it is, which I also do very often. I'll get some jumping jacks or some push-ups going before a video. Get the energy up, that can be really good. Other than that, what are some other things that you would recommend to calm your nerves down a little bit and get you ready to really perform and really come off professional in a remote meeting?
Yes. Okay. I wrote down an actual list. So now I'm going to break eye contact with my camera and look at my list. So first of all, just like what Jared and I have done here, outline what you need to cover. That takes a lot of the nerves out of being on camera and being in virtual meetings. Also, it will help you stay on point. And if you have somebody who's like a disruptor and will take the conversation out to left field, it's good to know you've got your notes to come back to should you get lost. So outline what you need to cover. Include the links that you want to share, any calls to action, any downloads, whatever the links are that you are going to want to share, have them ready to go so you can copy and paste them into the chat. This works whether you're doing a Facebook Live or a Zoom meeting or really anything. As long as you've got, or anywhere there's a chat, you're going to want to be able to be like, okay, now I want you to go and download this. Have the link ready. Don't be searching for it. All right. The next thing is have any screen shares preloaded. So if you're going to be talking about something and sharing some of your screens, have them preloaded and ready to go so that you're not having to fumble with that, especially with logins and things like that. Test your camera and mic before you go live.
Nice.
Make sure that your tech is working so you don't go live or go into these meetings and then like, oh, sorry guys, my mic's not working. We don't want to do that. Also, make sure your background looks good, right? If you test your mic beforehand, if there's like things that need to be moved or shifted, or your light's not working enough, you need more light. So do that all beforehand, so you're not dealing with it in the moment.
Nice.
Check your teeth. Check your teeth. I did this. I was drinking a hot chocolate and I got a little bit of the hot chocolate skin on my tooth. And then I recorded 2 YouTube videos and didn't notice because I was so small, I didn't see it. And then afterwards I'm like, oh God, I have So this is such a great lesson. By the way, I did not record because who's got time for that? Oh well, you have to embrace it. You got to embrace the hot
okay.
chocolate teeth. But yeah, check your teeth, check your hair, check your clothes. Make sure that things are again where they should be or not where they shouldn't be. And then be sitting at your laptop at least 5 minutes beforehand so that you're ready to go. Again, we want to have the links, we want to have the pages, we want to make sure we're looking good. Everything is set up, everything is working. So you've got that 5 minutes to review your notes. Maybe you log in a little early and chit chat if there's people there at this meeting early. You know, you have that time to arrive really grounded and relaxed and ready to go. And you've got all the little pieces put together so that professionalism is just shining through.
Nice. I love that. When I was writing these questions, I was like, oh, these are some good questions. And you brought some excellent answers, even better than I was expecting, actually. I really think that, like, from my personal experience, the value of preparation cannot be understated. Like, especially for your mindset and your ability to perform, just yeah, doing a little bit of prep can go such a long way. Like even half an hour or an hour, and those small things like having your screen shares ready and having some notes, it goes such a long way. So yeah,
Absolutely.
brilliant. All right, so I think that we have pretty much covered a lot of what I really wanted to get here. This has been really amazing. I have one more question just to kind of wrap everything up. We've touched on a lot of these points, but just to give everybody watching like a nice little soundbite, a nice takeaway, and just really get to the meat of it here. So we're talking about conveying authority. We're talking about conveying leadership, and in doing that, in this new remote world that we're living in. So the final question will just be that. How do you convey leadership and authority in a remote meeting?
Look put together, show up prepared, look straight at the camera, speak loudly and clearly with confidence, sit
Nice.
up straight.
And be yourself.
Be yourself. Be yourself with all those other things.
And
Yeah.
all those things. And have fun and yeah, enjoy yourself as well, I think is a big part of it.
Enjoying yourself, we didn't even talk about that. You're so right. Thank you for bringing that up. Enjoying yourself is key. Enjoying yourself plus professional. Having fun plus professional. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And I think if you're making content or you're hosting online events or anything like that, I think when you're saying like, what are people going to feel when they're walking away from this? I think they're going to feel whatever you felt when you were making it, right? Like if you put a lot of joy and a lot of good energy and a lot of happiness and motivation and everything else into the piece of content that you're creating or the event that you're creating, I think that people are going to take exactly that away from it when they view it or when they interact with you. Would you agree?
I 1000% agree. And I feel a little silly that we didn't think about that, or I didn't think about that till now. I've been thinking about the technical things, but straight up, we need to take this piece and move it right to the top of this whole conversation. That's exactly it. If you enjoy yourself, right? If you show up and are you and enjoy yourself, more than anything, I mean, your mic could mess up. You could have something in your teeth, right? You might not even be smiling. Like, who knows, right? Like, all the things that we shared could all go wrong. But if you are showing up and enjoying yourself and bringing you fully to this presentation, this talk, this video, whatever it is, people will feel that and they will pick up on that and they'll be with you.
Yeah, and I really hope that people, when they are done watching this video, they're going to walk away with a sense of joy and a real feeling of fun and everything else that we brought to the table here. So I think it's been a really wonderful conversation, and I appreciate you being on here again. We'll have to make some more content soon. This has been amazing.
I love it. Amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, and I have one more thing to leave you guys with. Lindsay's actually been so kind to offer a little bit of free course for you guys to download. I'm going to leave that down in the description here. You guys can go click on the link. I actually had a look at the content earlier. It's called a mini course, but it actually looks like quite a bit of content. I think you've got like 5 videos there, something like that, right? What's that all about?
Oh my gosh, I know. I listen. It's a mini course by my standards. Okay, so for those that don't know me, I have a company. My business is called The Radical Connector, and I work with new entrepreneurs, and I teach them a simpler, easier, and also cheaper way to build the business. And so I've got in here the 4 business building basics every new entrepreneur needs to know, and it is basically breaking down the 4 things that you need to know to get profitable and start making money. So download that.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's what we all need to be doing right now. Yeah, so make sure you guys go and check out that little bit of free content there, that free course. Lindsay's been doing tons of excellent content on YouTube as well, which I love. So make sure you check out her channel. I'm going to link that below. Subscribe to this channel too. Leave us a comment, and we're going to answer all those. And yeah, thank you guys again for watching. I'll have a new video for you soon. And Lindsay, thank you so much for being here.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.